Hello, this is Lady Boulay, and I hope you're having a great day. Thank you for your support. Thank you for subscribing to the channel. Thank you for your thumbs up, and thank you for your comments. Thank you for all you do to support the channel. And yes, we are commanded to love one another, whether we want to or not, and whether we agree with each other or not. Now, you know that the Somalis are having a rough time here in the United States now. They are being accused of doing all kinds of criminal activities, and Donald Trump is on the warpath with the Somalis, especially Congresswoman Ilhan Omar, who is a Somali. So there are Black people in Minnesota that are actually speaking up on behalf of the Somali people, and I'm going to let you listen to some videos. But my own experience with the Somali people living in suburban Atlanta is good. I can say, and I have said, of all of the African immigrants that I have come into contact with, I like the Somalis the best, and they are the most interesting. When I was still teaching in our school, we had Somali children in our school. Those children were very well behaved, very respectful. During their holy season of Ramadan, they know they're not supposed to eat lunch at school. Those girls wouldn't even go to the lunchroom. They would go to the library. They would come to our classrooms asking if we needed any help, just willing to do what they could do, but they were very, very friendly. The Somali people are friendly. They'll actually speak to you. The Somalis will speak. And another thing about them is that when they come into a community, they'll jump in and do what everybody else is doing. They don't stand back with their nose in the air and I'm better than you. They'll jump in and start working just like everybody else, because at my hairdresser's, there was a lady that worked at a factory in Doraville, and she worked with some Somali women. And she said they were very friendly. They were curious about Black Americans. They would ask questions. And one day they had a problem at the plant. A Black guy, something happened with the Black guy, and it was unfair. I don't know if he got fired or something happened, but they were talking about it among the Somali women, and they wanted to know if he was in their tribe. And so they had to explain to them that we don't live in tribes. And my husband and I used to go to a restaurant before it closed, and there were some young Somali men working at the restaurant. And they were so polite. They were so helpful. They really were. And we were very impressed with them. So I really like the Somali people. I mean, best from what I knew of what I knew of them, I did like. But recently, Black people have been on social media talking about how they are, and they said this about Black Americans, and they think that about Black Americans. So I just sort of jumped in with the crowd. But my personal experience with the Somalis is that they are very decent people. They wear their culture with them, and they're friendly. They're friendly people, and their children were very well mannered in school. Now, I can say that from personal experience. But again, they're having problems up there in Minnesota now. And a lot of it has to do with them ripping off the government. So they're in some trouble. Some of them are in some trouble. And Donald Trump says he wants them all deported. Now, it would be good if we, had a better relationship with these African communities where we could at least speak up for them and be allies. But a lot of Black Americans have been turned off, but not all. And I'm going to let you listen to what some of the Black Americans, and I think I have 3 videos. I just got 3. And I think they're all Black Americans. They seem to be Black Americans, but at any rate, the people are speaking on behalf of the Somalis.
The Somali community here in Minneapolis is full of thoughtful, kind, compassionate, peaceful people. I'm not any of those things. If I hear in my presence, you say anything racist about Somalis here in Minnesota, I'm gonna say something about you. I'm gonna talk about you, yo big back mama, yo daddy who ain't got no teeth. I'm gonna talk about your ugly ass kids, and I'm gonna talk about your dead ass granny. I don't care. I don't care. And if that don't work, I'm gonna put my hands on you. Cause they don't bother nobody. They don't. I hate a bully. I hate people that marginalize and malign people for political power and profit. I hate that. I'm gonna put my hands on you. I will.
I believe her about the Somali people. I don't believe they bother anybody. They live amongst themselves like people do when they live in tribes and clans, and they take care of their own. Now, I know there are rotten apples in every barrel. We certainly have them in the Black American community, but I believe her about the Somali people. Now, they are mostly Muslim, so there is a religious difference between them and us. But as far as them being decent human beings, that was my experience with them. So here's a young man speaking on behalf of the Somalis.
Listen, if you're from Minnesota, you've definitely seen this spot before. Carmel and Raw. Now, listen, you might be thinking like, oh, you gotta be Somali, you gotta be. No, I'm not Somali. Me and my family, we've been going inside this mall since I was born. Since I was born right there. Bro, whatever you need at this mall, you can get. Brother, if you need coffee, you can go right there. If you need a fresh cut, bro, just look at me. My barber get me right every time. If you need a new phone or phone repairs, go right there. Actually, I don't know about that. If you need fitted clothes, I could go inside the mall right now. There's so much tailors. Bro, trust me on this one. Carmel Mall, you'll get everything you need. Only downside is the drivers. Besides that, you'll get everything you need.
So he's talking about a Somali mall in Minneapolis, and he says you can get everything you need at that mall, and he goes there all the time. Sometimes people say you have to be a Somali to shop in their stores, but he's saying that you don't have to be, that he's always shopped there. Now, I'm going to let you listen to the mayor of St. Paul. St. Paul and Minneapolis are twin cities. And this is the mayor of St. Paul. And they have a rich Black American history in St. Paul, Minneapolis. You wouldn't think that they did, but they do. Well, my husband and I went up there a few years ago to the Mayo Clinic, and we went to St. Paul. And it's a very interesting city, too. But this is the mayor of St. Paul speaking on behalf of the Somali people.
We saw, sadly, the President of the United States open his mouth to take a whole group of people, a whole country of people, and denigrate just based on where they come from. And somehow we found ourselves to a place where that doesn't surprise any of us. But when the mayor said the word un-American, it rang true to me. I grew up celebrating in America and learning about an America who prided ourselves on being a beacon that drew people from other places. I grew up in an America that prided itself on being a country of immigrants, that prided itself on the fact that people from other countries would look across a whole ocean and say, that's where I want to be. And we have decades and generations of priding ourselves on being a beacon for immigration from Europe. I mean, it seems to many of us like the darker skinned the immigrants who come to our country are, the more our posture on immigration as a country has shifted. That's un-American. That's concerning.
Well, he's right about that. America welcomes immigrants from Europe. Those are their favorite immigrants. But the darker you are, the less welcome you're made to feel in America. And that is what we try to tell them. That is what Black Americans try to tell the immigrants from Africa and the Caribbean, but they didn't respect what we had to say. But I stand by what I said about the Somalis. I found them to be friendly. I found them to be down to earth and respectful. So I'm not going to judge all of the Somali people by the behavior of a few, because I don't want all of us to be judged by the actions of a few. And so I hope that things work out for them. And hopefully in time, we can start building community with some of these African communities, because we really will be stronger together. Regardless of what anybody says, we will be stronger together. And also the Somalis were the main immigrant group in Minnesota demonstrating with Black Americans during that George Floyd tragedy. Somalis were out there with Black Americans. I just thought I would add that. Okay, y'all, let me know what you think about the video and have a good evening.